Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money, with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 784 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Kris Safarova, and this is one prolific woman, let me tell you. And this one thing, I got to ask her about this. She's co-chief executive officer of one of her companies, and I never heard of such a thing, having two CEOs. I think if I was going to do that, I would, anything good happen, I'd take the blame for, and if the bad happened, I'd blame it on the other guys. I don't know how that works. And also, she's got an upcoming summit called the Author to Profit. I have been asked and very humbled to be part of it. So I'm looking forward to that coming up in October. And she is herself is a multiple best-selling author. And listen to this. She's a concert pianist at 13 years old. And then this other thing, she claims to be a professional immigrant. I don't know what that is either. But today she's going to give us some real tips on authoring and writing. And I really loved one of her postings about 6 sources to knowledge. And I want to go over that with her. So we'll bring her on in a minute. All right, hope you didn't miss episode 783. That was one of my frequent Q&A sessions. I get all kinds of questions from email and from everywhere else. You can send me something, and I gather them up and respond to them. That was episode 783. Anytime you want to get to a back episode, you go to screwthecommute.com/ and then the episode number. That was 783 for the Q&A session. All right, make sure you pick up a copy of my automation ebook at screwthecommute.com/automate free. You will thank me for it because it will save you hundreds, if not thousands of hours into the future. Instead of fighting with your computer, you can be actually making money. How about that? And follow me at Digital Multimillionaire on TikTok. Well, let's get to the main event. Kris Safarova is the CEO of strategytraining.com, firmsconsulting.com, and an author of over 20 books, including #1 bestsellers like Succeeding as a Management Consultant. She was recognized among the top 30 world management professionals in 2023. She's also a former concert pianist, I told you that, a Big Four consultant, and she handles a $1 billion portfolio as a corporate banker. Kris, are you ready to screw the commute?
Definitely ready.
How you doing?
Definitely ready, Tom.
Oh, I'm thrilled to have
I'm very good.
you on here.
How are you?
Oh, I am just peachy. Just so happy to finally get to have you on here. You're a quite a prolific woman, and I know we've had lots of guys on here, but boy, your resume really tells it. And my first question is, how can you be a co-CEO? I never even heard of that term.
So I am actually, I would say I'm a CEO, but we have a very senior, I don't like word expert, but he is a genius and he is this incredible mentor. And so if he would disagree with something, I would take it very seriously. So I would say I am a CEO, but there is someone in the company that I listen to very carefully.
So, and he's okay with this co-CEO title, right?
Yes, because yes, he's okay with that.
That's good because I never heard of such a thing. But
Well,
go ahead.
well, I don't even think we have that. I think it's really me being the CEO, but he is very influential.
Oh, well, it said I think it was on your LinkedIn profile. It was that's where where I got that idea. But I also was looking through your social media, and I saw one of the things you mentioned about it's important to understand what you think is reality as compared to actual reality. I see that a lot where people think something's a certain way and it just isn't. Where'd you come up with that?
I just see it so much in day-to-day life, in my own experience and with clients. So we see things a certain way, and then someone going through that same experience with us will see the situation in a completely different way. And it is all because our reality is really distorted in terms of how we see it and what actually is happening.
Well, there was a famous movie. I think it was called Vantage Point, years ago, where five different people witnessed a certain event. And I believe all of their realities were different, but they were all correct too, because they were looking at it from different perspectives.
Very true. And I think that once we understand it and once we start paying attention to where do we have biases, where we actually interpret things in a way that is not actually the reality, we can significantly improve our results and our ability to connect with people.
Absolutely, yeah. When you get stuck in one way of thinking all the time or one way of looking at something, that's probably part of the divisiveness in the country now. Is everybody's just stuck in one thing, and if you don't agree with me, you're rotten and should die. So now
Yeah.
another thing I saw from your social media is something that I've been living my whole life. My dad taught it to me when I was a young boy. It says no matter what age you are, you have to be learning from someone. That's the way I kind of live my life, is continuous learning.
So I could not agree with you more. The way I look at it is I don't like word expert, because as soon as you tell yourself I'm an expert, you're basically saying I know everything. I don't really need to learn more.
That's the
And
one
the
that's
way
the
I see it
distorted
is
reality right there.
exactly. And I think that the only way you can really be the best in your field, or one of the best in your field, is if you're in this constant pursuit of mastery. Every day, I learn so much every day. I invest a lot of my time to learn every day. So every time I speak to somebody, for example, one of my clients or partners, collaborators, I am an advanced version of the person they spoke to the previous time. And I know you do the same thing. You every time you speak, it's hard not to make notes, because you share so much wisdom, so much very practical, powerful steps that people can immediately implement. And it can only really come from this continuous pursuit of mastery.
Well, even in my school, we change the curriculum sometimes weekly because it's internet and digital marketing related, where most schools, they could go several years and not change their curriculum. But I just don't think that's fair to the student. It's things are changing. You need to change with it. Now I also saw a post you made one time that's related to this, called the 6 sources of your knowledge. And all of these can be learning experiences. And also, when we get talking about books, it seems to me like all of these are perfect for book ideas. Now, so I'm going to go over them with you and not put you on the spot to try to remember them. But the 6 sources of knowledge, the first one was past experiences. Talk about that.
So if we, for example, look at my life, I have so many past experiences that I can leverage for my knowledge. And so, for example, if we take a step back and we think about business acumen, business judgment, I call it business judgment. So our ability to make good assumptions, and because of good assumptions, make good decisions, we can leverage the items that you just described. So in my experience, I have lived so many different lives in a way. I have been a pianist. I have been a singer as well. I used to write songs and perform them. I have been a corporate bank, managing a portfolio of over $1 billion. That comes with significant pressure and responsibility, level of responsibility. I have been a management consultant at 2 major firms, working on very important projects for very important clients. I have been an entrepreneur for many years and built something that I'm very proud of, that is helping many people around the world. And of course, I have personal experiences as well. I grew up in former Soviet Union. I was a little girl standing in lines for 2 hours to get a pack of margarine. So I can mine all those experiences when I make judgment calls. And as business owners, we have to make a lot of business judgment calls every day. And it better be good calls, because a lot of things are changing, and it's very easy to lose a lot of money and go out of business if you make bad decisions.
So pulling on your past experiences is part of this whole source of knowledge. So the next one was readings. I read a lot. Sometimes I have 12 different books going at once, and it was hard when they were all hardcover, but now that they're on your phone, you can have I probably have 1,000 books on my phone.
Same here. I read a lot every day. So for me, it is kind of difficult to focus. I have to come up with all kinds of things to keep myself organized. And so one of the ways I make myself organized is when I have focused work, when, for example, I'm writing a book or editing a book or working on a course or doing anything, preparing something important, working on something important, I have this focused time. And I usually work for 25 minutes, and then I reward myself with 7 minutes of reading, which sometimes goes as long as 20 minutes if I really need some rest. And that is how I keep myself organized. But then you need to also leverage this knowledge. So Tom, if you think about it, think about how many people, they come across a business issue and they make a decision and they make some assumptions, and often they are not tapping into the knowledge they already have.
Yeah, maybe they only stuck on their past experiences and didn't see other people's opinions through their readings.
Exactly. And you can learn so much through reading books and blogs and newsletters. You just need to find right people to follow, because there is a lot of weak material as well out there. So you need to be careful and curate what you let into your mind.
And now lately there's fake material with artificial intelligence that just some of it is just wrong.
Exactly. Very true.
All right, now the next one is education. That kind of works into readings because my dad was one of the smartest guys I knew, but he only went to the second grade. But he sat down and read the entire World Book Encyclopedia back when it was 26 volumes and things when he retired. So you can make your own education, but formal education, if it's any good, adds to your sources of knowledge.
Absolutely. And then also don't ignore education that you may not think is completely applicable, because you can pull things from different disciplines into your discipline and create something unique that adds even more value for your clients and customers.
Yeah, no, I think I read that you, when you started all this fancy management and portfolio and banking stuff, you did not have a degree. Was that correct?
So what happened, Tom, is when I immigrated first time, and I immigrated 3 times in my life.
Is that why you call yourself a professional immigrant?
Yes, that is why. So when I immigrated the first time, I immigrated from Russia to South Africa. And when I landed in South Africa and I tried to get some credit for my degree could not, not degree, diploma, as a pianist. It could not even be found in a database. So I had to start from scratch. And so I started working, and I also had some part-time jobs, and I started also studying at the same time. And then I was fortunate to actually join a large consulting firm without a degree. I'm a very rare person in that regard. And yes, that is how it started. So my piano education was not recognized, could not be found in the database.
Right.
It did not exist in the database.
Wow. But you sure climbed that ladder in a hurry. I hear up to $1 billion portfolio. All right. So the next source of knowledge is your social network. So that's not just social media, right? This is your family and friends and so forth, right?
Yes. And also making sure you surround yourself with the right people, because we all heard this, that you are basically an average of 5 people you spend the most time with. And it doesn't have to be people you know personally, or it can be people you don't know personally yet, but then you can become successful enough to be able to be in a position to work with them. So here you want to leverage all the social network, all the social connections that you have, And that, I think, also includes even mentors that you don't yet have an opportunity to speak to, but you can learn from them. Like, for example, Tom, you are mentored to so many people who are listening to your podcast, studying in your school. Maybe they never had an opportunity to speak to you one-on-one, but they are learning from you, and you are part of their social
I
network
see.
in a way, even though you never spoke to them yet.
Yeah, and so one of your posts talked about a lot of people think of networking as go meet somebody and take from them and then disappear. That's not really the best way.
Yes, so I believe that you have to always look for not just even win-win relationship, but for some kind of higher ground where you together can create something that you could not create separately, and definitely making sure that the other person benefits significantly from interacting and having a relationship with you.
Yeah, you've exhibited that in the brief time I've known you. He's always like, "What can I do to help you? What can I do to make things better?" It's a beautiful attitude to have, and really raises you to the top. All right, now the next source is media exposure. I'm all for that.
We live in this incredible time, Tom, when we can have presence on social media and so on podcasts, without spending significant amount of money or any money. And I think you just have to take advantage of it if you want to be a thought leader, if you have something to say, if you want to become a master and you're on a path to mastery in something, you want to take advantage of media exposure. But then also when you make those business judgments, you want to leverage whatever you learn from media, whatever you come across. You may read some article about people leaving a particular area because of job loss. And then, let's say, sometime later, you see a graph that is showing that job, basically unemployment rate went down in this area. And people will think, oh, it's such a great news. But you recall, oh, hold on, I read this article that people are leaving this city because there are no jobs. So maybe unemployment rate is going down because people are just leaving. So all people who were unemployed left, many of them left, and that's why unemployment rate went down. And that is how you can use media exposure, things that you learned from different media sources.
And things you couldn't afford to buy, that kind of exposure for sure. Yeah, I love free media. I've been on, I don't know, over 1,000 interviews and all over the world, and it's meant enormous amounts of money. But yeah, the exposure, people should really take it to learn that skill for sure, because there's a skill to it. Besides, you just what you just described is pretty deep. But there's another thing called newsjacking, where if something's in the news
Yes.
now, if you can get your topic to fit that what's in the news, it's much easier to get on.
Very true. Tom, and I would also mention to our listeners right now that also don't be too hard on yourself. Just focus on adding value in every post. So for example, let's say you do shorts. You do short videos under 1 minute. You post them on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, Instagram. You can pick platforms that you want to use. And then you just focus on adding value and speaking from your heart, being authentic. Don't pretend to be someone else, just be yourself and speak from your heart, and try to be better every time. And then always end it with some kind of free gift that you prepare that is very valuable and can help people, but also will help you build your email list.
Exactly. Okay, so the sixth source of knowledge is travel. I understand you got around a little bit.
Yes, although it wasn't travel for fun the way people usually think of travel. It was more moving from place to place to work and study. So I worked and studied in multiple countries and experienced living, working, and studying in multiple countries. And it is incredible how much you learn and how much you can tap into it. And you can tap into it so if we come back to this business judgment concept, when you need to make decisions as a business owner, you can think, hold on, but when I was traveling to this city, to this country, I've seen people doing something this way. How can maybe I can borrow something from this and implement it in my business? You want to leverage the experiences you get during your travels.
And also, you meet people, that are traveling. So it's another kind of form of networking. I know I got hired. I used to before I could carry 1,000 books on my cell phone. I used to carry my own book with me on a plane and just give them out to everybody in first class. And I ended up getting speaking engagements from it. So you run into some very interesting people when you travel. So let's talk about
Very true.
let's talk about your author career. You got loads of bestsellers and on multiple platforms. So what's your method of knocking out a book?
So Tom, I spend a lot of time writing my books. I can spend sometimes I can spend more than a year to put a book
Wow.
together. And the books are very rich and dense. And my intention for my books is for people to walk away with something that they can implement. There are so many books that you read and you have some good ideas and insights, but you haven't learned, for example, to develop some kind of similar insights yourself by reading this book. Or you have read a book about strategy, but on Monday morning at 8 a.m., you cannot actually develop a strategy for your business based on reading that book. You just have some insights, some ideas, some interesting thoughts, some interesting information. So with my books, I try to make sure that people are transformed in some way as they read through the book and not just walk away with some interesting information and insights, but I want them to actually upskill as a result of reading a book.
Yeah, and that's that's an awesome thing. Now, the other side of that coin is I don't have that luxury in my field of internet and digital marketing, because if it took a year to write the book, it's obsolete in 3 months. so
That is very true.
so I have to turn out you're when you're dealing with big principles, I think you can go longer, but you don't have to take a year to write a book. I mean, the one I wrote in 4 hours has brought in almost $4 million. So there's everybody's got to find their style and compare it to their topic to make sure that they can get the books out in a reasonable amount of time. I have one friend, he's been claiming for 40 years he's going to write a book, and he's never done it because he's a perfectionist, and that will kill you sooner than anything, just about. So you have this summit coming up. So tell us about it.
Tom, so I'm so excited for the summit that is coming up. So excited that you will be one of the speakers. And so the idea behind it is I remember when I published my first book, Succeeding as a Management Consultant, it was just available on my website for the longest time. And it was not even easy to find. And I was always surprised that people found it and bought it. And I had all these requests from my clients they said, we really love the streaming platform. We have this very large streaming platform for strategy and critical thinking skills on strategytraining.com. But they would say, if I could make one suggestion, it would be amazing if you also had some reading materials, because I really learn better when I read, or when I can do both watching and reading. And that is how we started releasing books on Amazon, creating and releasing books on Amazon. And I remember it was kind of difficult to figure out all the steps. And I wanted to create a space for authors and for business owners, because I believe every business owner that is building a business that is somehow related to their expertise, they need to have books as part of as one of the revenue streams and also as a marketing tool. and also as another way to reach wider audience and help more people. And so the idea behind it is to bring in amazing, I don't like word expert, but people who really know what they're doing and getting results. And for authors who are already publishing books, or for people who want to start publishing books, to get information on how they can do more with their business, how can they be better authors, but also how can they do more. For example, how they can add speaking to it, how as another revenue stream, as another marketing channel. And so this is the thinking behind the summit, to have a space for business owners to have to learn from people who really know what they're doing, and to walk away with some very actionable steps they can take to make the business immediately better.
Yeah, and the format is something that, I was been doing summits for many, many years, but I always disliked the format that we had to use in the past, because people had to commit to sitting all day for like 5 days straight to see their what people they wanted to see. And I finally got tired of that, because just nobody had time to do that. And so the summit started to fail. And you teamed up with a guy named Ray Brem, which I also did too, and made it a new format that it's much more user friendly. So tell them about that.
Yes, Ray Brem is incredible person, friend, such an amazing guy. So fortunate to work with him. And so basically the format is amazing. I 100% agree with you, Tom. And what I also love about this format is you can rewatch. If you really found something helpful, but you missed something, you can rewatch. You can buy a premium pass and have lifetime access as well. And so the format is that every day we release that day's speakers interviews for 48 hours. And you can watch it anytime you want, regardless of where you are in the world. You watch it whenever you want. And then on the next day, on day 2, we release those speakers interviews for another 48 hours. So you can select which speakers you want to watch. You can rewatch the interviews. It is done at your convenient time, when you can really focus and make some notes, so you can actually not just get some information, but get something that you can implement, integrate into your business very quickly.
Yeah, it's a beautiful format. So I started doing them again, mostly as a speaker. I did one where it was mine, the Screw the Commute Summit, and that went beautifully because of Ray, basically. But the that format, people just love it, because they can do exactly what you said, do it on their schedule, and pick and choose the people they want to watch and the topics they want to learn from. And then if even if they do get busy, the cost of the premium pass is just unbelievably low. I mean, you couldn't talk to one of the experts for 10 minutes for the cost of the whole summit on video. So it's amazing format. So I'm glad you got involved in it. So that's coming up the week of October 4th, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the week of October 4th.
And that's a Monday? Is that a Monday?
Yes.
Yeah, and so
It's
it'll run
running,
Monday
yes,
through
from
Friday, right?
Monday through Friday.
Right. And just prior to that, folks, make sure you watch for the announcements of it. I'll be announcing it for sure, and you'll probably get other announcements from other people too. But get signed up right away, and there'll be a bunch of premium bonuses, sign up bonuses that you can, no matter if it's a week ahead of time, you can start learning. I'm providing a master class on email marketing, which I've sent out over 1 billion emails, and I don't get any spam complaints, and made a fortune with it. And I'm sure Kris will come up with other sign up bonuses, because it's just an amazing format and an amazing event. All right, so we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we're going to ask Kris what a typical day looks like for her. So, folks, about 25 years or so ago, I kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head, in that people at my level were charging 50 or 100,000 bucks up front to help you with your internet and digital marketing. Well, I knew a lot of these people. They're ripoffs, and they'd be hiding out in, I don't know, South Africa or Russia if you gave them $50,000 up front. So I said, I'm going to fix this. So I'm a small business advocate. So I just charge people an entry fee, and then I tied my success to their success. So for me to get my 50,000, they have to net 200,000, and then they're done with me. They're not stuck with me forever. So people love this, and 1,800 students later and 25 years is still going strong. So it's the longest running, most successful, most unique ever mentor program in the field of internet and digital marketing. You have an immersion weekend here at the Retreat Center in Virginia Beach. We have a TV studio here. We teach you to do marketing videos, and we do all of them for you here and then send them to you when you get home. It's a year-long program. It's all one-on-one. You're not stuck with people that are more advanced or less advanced. So it's I always triple dog dare people to put their program up against mine, and nobody will because they'd be embarrassed because I'm a crazy fanatic. So anyway, check it out at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, and it also includes a scholarship to my school, which is the only licensed and dedicated internet and digital marketing school in the country, probably the world. And you can gift that to someone. It'd be the best legacy gift you could ever give someone. And on a skill that's in high demand. Every company on earth needs these skills, and they can't find enough people to help them with all the things involved in internet and digital marketing for their company. So check it out, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. All right, let's get back to the main event. We got Kris Safarova here, a prolific woman, professional immigrant. That cracks me up. And she was a concert pianist at 13 years old. Oh my God, what a lady. Kris, what's a typical day look like for you? And start with when you get up. Do you have a morning routine? I know you're in beautiful shape, that's for sure. What's the day look like for you?
Thank you so much for your kind words, Tom. So a typical day would be, I would say, so if we are not shooting some course, which is completely different, that would be a crazy schedule of waking up really early, sometimes 4 a.m. and shooting for a few days and going to bed maybe around 12 and then repeating and repeating and repeating. But typical day would be, I wake up around 6:30 a.m. and then I try to spend the first, depending on the day, if it can be 3 hours, that's great. But at least first hour, I try to spend on most important work combined with meditation and yoga and reading. So the way I mentioned it earlier in the episode, that I try to work in this 25-minute intervals, and then I reward myself with reading block. And then at some point I will do meditation. At some point I will do yoga. I may do Pilates. I may do some other exercise. And then, but I try to spend this time in the morning writing. Try to do a lot of writing. That I feel that time is the most creative time, when you just woke up and you can really access some levels of creativity that is harder to achieve later on in the day. And then after that, I usually try to move meetings closer to the after lunch time. So after lunchtime, I will try to have all the meetings.
Okay, hold on. Did you eat anything in the morning?
Yes. So I eat lunch, kind of breakfast/lunch, maybe around 11 or something like that.
So you didn't eat anything from 6:30 to 11?
Yes. So I try to do this intermittent
fasting. Right? I was going to say, no wonder you're in such awesome shape.
Push it. Yes, I think it helps. It gives my body some rest time. So I eat, and then I will do.
What kind of things do you eat?
Podcast. So I try to eat very healthy, and I try to pay attention to what my body wants to eat to function at the best
like
level. What? So I try to eat a lot of vegetables, salads. So for example, the simplest salad and the one I make most of the time would be just cucumbers, tomatoes, radish, and I don't even use any salad dressing. And then I will have maybe a little piece of fish or a little bit of shrimp or scallops, mostly seafood. And that will be my diet. I eat the same thing for lunch and dinner.
No wonder you're in such great shape. Jeez.
Thank you. Thank you. And then I will have a little bit of maybe popcorn and some sparkling water and
Popcorn?
some fruit at night.
Did you say popcorn?
Yes. Yes, I eat popcorn.
Okay.
Yes, a little bit. And then some, I usually eat a fruit or some berries and sparkling water.
And what's the
at
latest
night
that you eat?
as a reward.
What's the latest that you eat?
So I eat this snack in the evening, maybe around 7 o'clock.
And then that's it for the night?
Yes.
Okay, so that's intermittent fasting. You're doing like almost 8 hour something of eating and the rest not eating. Yeah, that's intermittent
Yes.
fasting. Well, it's sure working for you, that's for sure. Wow, popcorn. I wouldn't think of that.
Yes. And then so after lunch.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And so after lunch, I usually try to do all the work that involves working with people. So I would do interviews for my 2 podcast channels. I will do coaching client calls, one-on-ones, and any partner calls, collaborators calls, summit interview calls, meetings with team, and so on. So I try to, because I'm an introvert, I try to use this morning time to create, and then later in the day I do all the other work that needs to be done.
You're an introvert, and you were a concert pianist on stage and singing in front of 5,000 people.
That is true. I think I have a little bit of an extrovert in me as well.
Bit. Okay.
Yes, yes. Although so coming back to being an introvert, although with group coaching calls, because some clients are in other parts of the world, I usually do them in the morning, but around 10 o'clock. So I still have this time between 6:30 and 10 to do my creativity related work.
Now, how old were you?
And then
how old were you when you left Russia?
I was 21.
21. So I heard about this guy that was dating a Russian girl, and the word on the street is that in Russia people walk a lot. They walk everywhere, and
Yes.
so he asked this girl out on a date, and he suggested that he rent a car, and she said, no, we could just walk, It was like 10 miles or something. His feet were all blistered. He had these shoes. He wore out a pair of shoes. And the girl was in high heels and her legs are beautiful, and she's used to it.
Yes, we used to it because we grew up. Well, I guess it depends on the generation, but I grew up at the time when very few people had a car. So you really just walk or you take a public transport.
Now, is it true that you don't go outside without being all perfect, fixed up?
Sorry, Tom, can you ask me again?
They said that a Russian girl does not go outside even to take the garbage out unless she's fixed up, makeup and hair and everything. Is that true?
I would say it is true. And I would say that when I immigrated for the first time, I got some comments that I'm overdressed. I was trying to always look very good, and then eventually, now I think I'm in the middle somewhere. I still try to look very presentable, but I'm also comfortable.
Okay. Oh well, so glad to have you on, and looking forward to the summit coming up October 4th, the week of October 4th. Watch for emails and people talking about it the week beforehand. And how many speakers do you think you'll have?
I think we will have around 25.
25. Wow, boy, that's millions of dollars worth of training, folks, just for signing up for free, I might add. So, and if you get the premium pass, I think it starts out at like, $67. I don't know if that's what your price is, but
yes,
for all
yes,
of
Tom.
them. Yeah. So.
And also the good thing about premium pass is, let's say you signed up a week before, and so the way it works is when you just sign up, you have this few minutes of time when you have an opportunity to upgrade
I think it's about
at
15
$67.
minutes.
But the beautiful thing is that you can unlock all the days right away. If you
Yeah.
cannot wait
There
to
you go.
listen to some
I
of
didn't
the
even realize that.
episodes,
Yeah.
some of the sessions, like Tom's session,
Yeah,
you
you'll
can
get
get
my
it right
bonus
away.
session and my regular session, and everybody else's too. So wow, I've been through several of these, didn't realize that. So that's what a benefit that is. That actually gives you, well, once you get the premium pass, you have forever, but it covers, immediately you start learning, and you don't have to be so rushed. So and you don't have to show up on a particular day at all if you don't want to. So beautiful. So
Exactly.
so you'll start hearing about it the week before, the 1st of October. And Kris is in charge. And wow, just being associated with a lady like that, she talked about who you hang out with. Well, she's a person that's been around and done a lot of things in her young age, and lots more great things to come from her. So, Kris, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for being this incredible person that you are. We really need more people like you in the world.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm humbled to be on your event. All right, everybody. We'll catch y'all on the next episode. I'll see you on that summit.